What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the 5 reasons the Detroit Lions defense got better for the 2020 NFL season. So let's get it started. Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And today we're looking at the 5 reasons the Lions got better defensively for the 2020 NFL season. Now, let's be honest, it probably can't get much worse, but there is hope for optimism for 2020, and we're going to go through that in just a second. But before we do that, I have to give you guys the announcement. Something big is coming. A takeover is coming July 4th. And if you guys want to be a part of it, then go follow the social media links in the description, FTFN. Follow it on Instagram and follow it on Twitch. Okay, those are the 2 main platforms you guys need to be a part of. I'm telling you, you guys don't want to miss out. I'm going to roll the trailer, and then we'll get into this video. Let's go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that trailer, man. It's coming. So man, I'm just saying. That's all I can say right now. Just, hey, be prepared. I'm telling y'all, you don't want to miss out on this. But let's talk about these 5 reasons the Detroit Lions defense will be better in 2020. So last season, defensively, the Lions were awful. I mean, let's be honest. They were awful last season. The Detroit Lions ranked 26th in points allowed per game, and 31st in yards allowed per game, and last in the league in passing yards allowed per game. Let's just stop there. I really don't want to go further than that. Yet, do we have to? No, okay, I'm not. It was bad, guys. It was really bad, and it really can't get much worse in 2020. You would think, but I'm sure it could. So let's hope that's not the case. But I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why the Detroit Lions defense will actually get better for the 2020 NFL season. So let's run through these numbers I got. Let's start it off at number 1 and then work our way down. So starting off, the number 1 reason the Detroit Lions defense will be better for the 2020 NFL season. These are really in no particular order, but I think this is probably the biggest reason, and it is moving on from guys like Darius Slay. Now, not just specifically Darius Slay, and this isn't any kind of shade I'm trying to throw at Darius Slay, because Slay was one of my favorite players when he was a Detroit Lion. But for Matt Patricia's scheme and Matt Patricia and his philosophy and his regime to be successful, he had to do what had to be done, and that was moving on from guys like Snacks Harrison, like Darius Slay. These guys that honestly didn't really want to be here. And we didn't know about this until they left, because we saw, the production wasn't great, but we didn't necessarily know they wanted to go, right? We didn't know if they had his back or not. But once they left, we found out all about it. Darius Slay has talked about Matt Patricia a lot. We've seen Snacks Harrison talk about, that he didn't even really want to come here when he came here. It was an absolute mess. And some people could be telling the truth, some people may not be. But at the end of the day, what's important is that those players are no longer with the Detroit Lions, and we have new players that want to be here. Now, I'm not saying that, I hate Darius Slay, because like I said, Darius Slay is probably still going to go down as one of my favorite players with the Lions ever. But you still have to bring in players that want to play here. And that's exactly what the Lions did this offseason. Bringing in former Patriots like Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, Duron Harmon, and then bringing other players that just wanted to be here from other systems that can fit in well. Guys like Desmond Trufant. That's huge defensively. The Lions needed that. They need guys that want to buy in for the 2020 NFL season. It's a big year for Matt Patricia. But not only is it a big year in 2020, it's a big year for the future. And to have guys that want to play in the system, because not all of them do, is what the Lions needed. And Matt Patricia going into his 3rd year, you would think he started to kind of weed out some of the guys that don't want to be here, and he's found the guys that maybe do. So hopefully that shows on the field in 2020. The Lions defense can greatly improve. I think it's going to be probably the biggest impact of this defense as a whole, is that guys are really going to buy in, because we've seen a couple loved it, some didn't, and it's understandable, but you got to find those guys that do.
Just said, sit back, process everything for a little bit, be appreciative that, a team wanted me to come in here. Matty P wanted me to come, just appreciate how blessed I am to still, be going into my 8th year playing in the National Football League.
And I think the Detroit Lions did that this offseason, so hopefully it takes this defense to another level, or at least makes them average. Let's go on to the number 2 point that we have, and the second point is the defensive line transformation. Now, the defensive line, I wouldn't say it got way better, watch out for that D-line, you know what I mean? But it got better, and I think it did improve in 2 ways. Again, going back to the last point, moving on from Snacks Harrison. Snacks obviously didn't want to be here, and I don't know. I don't necessarily know if he was mad because he had a down year or what the heck it was. He seemed like he didn't want to be here, but the Lions moved on from Snacks after, one of his worst years, because in 2018, you could make a case that this guy was the best run defender in the league. In 2019, you couldn't make that case. H.J. Robinson really never lived up to the hype, and the Detroit Lions needed to find some kind of answers on the defensive line, because it was pretty much non-existent. In 2018, it wasn't bad. Romeo was looking pretty good. Snacks was really good. But you go look at 2019, man, it was tough. There was just no pressure whatsoever. Bundy in the inside, where it does start with the first first 3 down linemen, it was nowhere to be found. And not only did Detroit Lions transform, the defensive line, they also brought in a replacement for Devon Kennard, but I don't think that necessarily has much of effect. But simply looking at the defensive line, you move Snacks, you let Ashawn walk, and you brought in a guy in Danny Shelton who's coming off his best season. So he's not necessarily coming off, his worst season. He's not Super Bowl. He's only 26. He's coming off his best season coming in. You have Nick Williams coming off his best season of 6 sacks. You have John Pennicini, Jayshon Cornell. You got some young guys, and then you'll see guys return. Deshaun Hand only played 3 games last year. Romeo Cora potentially could bounce back like he was in 2018. The defensive line is huge. So production-wise is big, and also once again, players that want to be here and that know how the scheme fits and know how the scheme works day one. It's going to be a big advantage for this Detroit Lions defense. The defensive line is a huge part of a defense when you don't blitz a lot. So having guys that you can rely upon and upgrading that positional group was huge for Detroit Lions this offseason. That's why it comes in at number 2 for me. Hopping in number 3, we have a simple answer, man. It's a 2-word answer.
Dairy Queen
Collins. Simple. Jamie Collins is the best player the Lions brought in this offseason. Try to change my mind. Try it, okay? You're failing. Jamie Collins is the best player the Detroit Lions brought in this free agency, and if he was in the draft, he would have been the best player we drafted. Jamie Collins is an absolute monster, and every time he's been in the Patriot system, he has been an absolute beast, and he's going to be a beast with the Detroit Lions as well. The Lions haven't had a great linebacker in a while, but linebackers are like the coaches. They're like the quarterbacks on the field for the defense, and Jamie Collins is the best linebacker that we have by far, and he's probably one of the most versatile linebackers that we have. He can literally do everything, and he does it all at a high level. I don't necessarily see one thing where I say, okay, that's what he stands out at, but across the board, pass coverage, blitzing, run stuffing, he's good at everything. And Jamie Collins is going to be just a game changer for these linebacker group for now and for the future to help mentor some of these young guys, and Jelani Tobias, potentially Jared Davis, Reggie Ragland, some of these young guys. But having a veteran at that linebacker position that we haven't had in a long time with the talent of Jamie Collins is huge. Locked up to a 3-year deal. Collins is going to be that X factor for the Lions defense. But he may be the player I'm most excited to watch in 2020 because he's going to be big for this defense. I mean, he could take them to a new level on his own, okay? His presence is going to be huge for this Lions defense, and that's why he comes in at number 3 by himself. Hopping in number 4, we have a veteran safety and Tracy Walker heading into his 3rd year. So now Tracy Walker necessarily isn't a veteran at this point, right? He's only going into his 3rd year. But last season, we saw a huge jump as Tracy Walker got a big role. Now in year 3, I expect him to continue to improve, become more effective as a safety, and have, again, a big role for the Lions. But they also introduced another safety named Duron Harmon, who is known as the closer when he was with New England. 17 career interceptions, and one of the biggest problems for the Detroit Lions last season is, yes, they lost Matthew Stafford, and yes, their defense was bad, but they couldn't close out games. And Quid had those quotes after the season saying, we couldn't finish. He said we couldn't finish at the end of the year, and we couldn't finish in games. And that is a big reason the Lions lost a lot of their games. They led in 14 of 16 of their games, and 10 of those games they were leading in the 4th quarter. That's not good, man. You got to be able to close out football games, and the Lions didn't do it last year. Obviously, it's a huge impact when you don't have your starting quarterback, but having a guy in the defensive end, like when we had Glover Quinn, that can make big plays at the end, that can seal the deal, that can be Duron Harmon. And now Tracy Walker going into his 3rd year, I think Walker is going to be the breakout player for the Lions next year. I have a video on that, duo that we have, plus with some younger guys that are going to mix in, like J-Ron Curse and Will Harris. Those guys can help as well, but Tracy Walker and Duron Harmon in the back end is really going to be good. Okay, last year we had a lot of young guys. We had Will Harris, Tracy Walker going into his 2nd year, really his first time starting. Will Harris, a rookie. You had a lot of young guys, a lot of unproven players in secondary. This season, you have guys that are ready to go. The secondary is going to look a lot better. And not just at the safety position, but also the cornerback position, which kind of pushes me right into my final point, which is the secondary really as a whole. You have guys that can play man-to-man really, really well. And that's what Matt Patricia wants to do. It's obvious. The Lions played more man-to-man defense than any other team last season with Matt Patricia. That's his scheme. That's his philosophy. That's what he likes to do. He likes man-to-man. If that's what he wants to do, then you need the players to play that way. And the Lions needed guys that are good at man-to-man and are comfortable in that situation to play man-to-man, to press up, that are comfortable with that. And the Detroit Lions have those guys. Jeffrey Okudah at Ohio State was, I think it's pretty obvious, the best cornerback in this draft, and he was known for man-to-man defense with Ohio State. When you look at Desmond Trufant, a man-to-man corner coming from Atlanta. Justin Coleman, you brought him in, last year. Justin Coleman, man-to-man slot cornerback from Seattle. You look at our safeties, they can play man-to-man. You watch Tracy Walker a lot last year. He played a lot of man-to-man out of that safety position against tight ends and some running back stuff like that. All of our secondary players, Amani, you look at Michael Ford even, Darryl Roberts, all of these guys are man-to-man coverage guys that play in that that system really, really well. And not only do you need those players to want to play for you on the field, you need those players to be talented, and you need to be able to fit the scheme, and they need to have their talents fit the scheme. And this season, the Lions have that across the board defensively, and now in the secondary unit as well, which if you watch Matt Patricia's defense, he doesn't blitz slide. If you guys watched my Patriots video yesterday, then you can see that's kind of how it can work. And it can work for Matt Patricia. He just needs guys that can buy in and make it happen. And now he has those guys in the back end with some of the additions that we made this offseason, and also some returning players getting a little bit better. The defense as a whole has to be better next season. If it's not better, it's going to be a big problem for the Detroit Lions, no matter how good their offense is. It will be a bad look for Matt Patricia, but I see it improving. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a top 10 defense in yards and points and stuff like that, but I can see it being, one of the more average defenses as they continue to get better and kind of grow and gel together. As the season, comes to a wind, I think it'll become a lot better. If you look at 2018, the down stretch of the season, the Lions defense really came together and was really good. I think that's what we may see in 2020. Maybe a little bit of a slow start, but I think about, halfway through season, Lions will start clicking, and they could finish as an average defense in the league, which is fine if you have an offense like we did last year. That will make you a playoff team. So I think those are 5 great reasons the Lions defense will be better in 2020. If you guys have any more reasons, comment below. Let me hear your thoughts as well. Thank you, Pride, for watching, and I'm out.